What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. It is time for my Game Week 15 team selection. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here and welcome back to another video. Today it is time for my Game Week 15 team selection. Again, we'll be talking about injuries, potential transfers, the best replacements for each of the positions in my team, plus hopefully some stuff for you to take away that should be useful for the transfers you are going to make in your FPL team as well. At the end, we will do captaincy, we'll do lineup, we'll do benchings, all of that, and potentially any transfers I've already confirmed or what my plan is going into the FPL deadline. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for 37,000 subscribers, and we're going to try and hit 1,000 likes on this video. But let's get into it. Just before we get into Game Week 15, a review of how I got on Game Week 14. It was a red arrow. I dropped down from 18k to 24k. Of course, still a rank I'm very, very happy with, but 64 points for me this week was not enough to go and get me a green arrow. Now, it was a very close deadline. A lot of us with those Manchester City assets were looking at potentially replacing them, potentially benching them going into the deadline after we got that early team news for the Manchester City lineup that both Foden and Haaland was benched. I didn't have time to change them from my starting 11. So Foden did come off the bench for a 1-pointer and he started in my team, and Haaland did get replaced. Again, he didn't score anything. So Dominic Solanke came off my bench for his 2 points. Happy to see Solanke back fit and available for this one. My captain, I did manage to change, was to Mo Salah. He did get 14.7, doubled of course with that goal against Leeds, but Liverpool continued to not perform well. My transfer in this week was Saka, which was on paper the correct transfer to make, but of course he did pick up an injury. Does look like he'll be okay though for Game Week 15, as he's been pictured back in Arsenal training and was on the bench for the Europa League tie on Thursday evening. So not particularly great going forward. The defence scored a lot of points. Guehi and Gaeta both getting that double Crystal Palace clean sheet plus the bonus points for Gaeta. Fantastic. Then we have Trippier again with an assist, 11 points for him, and then Cancelo getting a clean sheet. So defence was great. Attack was pretty poor. Let me know what points you got in Game Week 14, but let's have a look at some potential transfers because the attack is looking very, very weak for Game Week 15. So just before we dive into potential transfers, a couple of updates for you on the big two injury news we've had so far this week. Saka and Haaland were the two players that players were worried about whether they're going to be fit or not, both having injuries in Game Week 14. Saka is being pictured back in training and was on the bench in Arsenal's Europa League game, so he's absolutely fine. Should start against Chelsea and then should start, if fit, against Wolves in Game Week 16 as well. So I have him and I will be keeping him now. Erling Haaland has also been pictured back in Manchester City training on Thursday afternoon. Now, there is a press conference for Pep to take place on Friday, which hopefully he gives us a little bit of a steer about whether Haaland is fit or whether he's just returned to training or exactly what it is. But this is a big development from what we've heard on Haaland before. Previously, it was either he wasn't training or he was training individually. This is now he's training back with the group, is what we've seen from the picture that was posted. So hopefully good news for both of these to be fit and available for our Game Week 15 teams. So I know I've spoken a lot about not wanting to make a defensive transfer, but I might end up having to just because I don't love the options that I've got this week. I'm starting Castagna this week away at Everton, which is okay, but next week I plan on starting Doherty at home to Leeds in Game Week 16. Now, if I think Doherty's going to start, then absolutely I don't think I need to use a transfer, but if he doesn't start, I don't have particularly good options, and there are some defenders who I think could do really well over the next couple of weeks. The two options that I'm really looking at are Luke Shaw, Aston Villa away, and Fulham away in the next two for him are a couple of really, really nice fixtures. I think Manchester United will keep at least one clean sheet over those. De Gea is in great form. Shaw has nailed down that left back spot as well. He's really good going forward, and we know what he does in the run up to an international tournament. The other defender I'd consider buying at the moment is Cresswell of West Ham, and I've spoken a little bit about him over the past couple of videos as well. Crystal Palace at home, Leicester at home, two home fixtures for West Ham. He's on set pieces. His attacking threat is really good, both from open play and from that set piece threat he has, coming in at 4.8 million, practically the same price as Luke Shaw as well. So between the two, I'd probably just go Cresswell, a bit of a differential and two home fixtures for him. But I could definitely look at myself and see myself doing a defensive transfer if I don't think Doherty is going to nail it. But only in that situation would I do it. Looking at my midfield and attack, that's probably where I need to prioritise my transfers, given the flags that I had, but also the fixtures I've got this week. So moving up the pitch, we move into midfield. Now, I still have Zaha and Saka here. Now, Saka has had his flag removed, but it is Chelsea this week. I could remove him, potentially bring him back in game week 16, or I could just bench him this week, or I could end up holding him and selling Wilfried Zaha if I decide to do a midfield transfer. There are 5 midfielders that I'm really looking at. We've got Maddison in here. Again, 2 away fixtures for them, but I still think they can do well over this. 8.4 million, he's the most expensive. I would have to sell Saka all the way up to James Maddison if I wanted to go and get him in with the 0.2 million that I have spare in the bank. Leandro Trossard, one of the most popular ones and one of the ones I'm really eyeing up. Wolves away, Aston Villa away in the next 2 is a nice couple of fixtures for Trossard and for Brighton. He scores when you don't expect him to, but I still think Brighton can do very well over the next 2 games, and he is the focal point of the attack. Plus, there's no Europe for them, so he's pretty nailed to start every single game for them. The only thing is, it is 2 away fixtures. Then we have double West Ham. I could go premium in the most nailed option in Jared Bowen, but I would have to sell Saka to go and get him. He is a really nice option if you own Saka. Definitely hold onto him in your team. A good home fixture against Crystal Palace and at home to Leicester. I think he could score in either of these games. The cheaper differential option that I'm talking to you about is Said Benrahma. Again, 5.6 million, does not start for West Ham in the Europa League game. Looks like he's nailed to start in game week 15 and then should start in game week 16 as well. He's on some set pieces along with Cresswell, who we've already spoken about. His open play flair is really good. He's quite selfish, which is pretty good from an FPL asset point of view, not necessarily from a West Ham point of view, but I still think he could be quite a nice asset as a bit of a differential. And then finally, the most popular asset, again rested in the Europa League, is Marcus Rashford. 6.6 million, looks like he's going to rise in price as well. Aston Villa away, Fulham away in the next 2. Really nice playing up front for Manchester United. Again, should start both of the next 2. Just scored his 100th Manchester United Premier League goal as well. So really good form that he is showing. Manchester United are on good form as well. Hence the Luke Shaw pick. There are a lot of midfielders I could go with. If I could go and sell Wilfried Zaha, which is much more likely, then I can't go for all of them. I would have to go for Trossard, Benrahma or Marcus Rashford. Then I could make a forward transfer as well. So basically my head's a little bit all over the place. Currently at 24k. Again, if you haven't joined the league code, which is there already, make sure you go and do that. And if you haven't joined the Discord, there is a Discord down below where we chat FPL and FIFA if you want to as well. But Mitrovic could definitely leave my team. Manchester City away and Manchester United at home. And to me, selling Mitrovic is the most obvious transfer for me to make. The issue is the replacements I just don't like nearly enough. I don't have the money in the bank to go up to the likes of Calvert-Lewin or Wilson, who would be the ones that I'd really want to go to. Wilson again, Southampton away this week, plus Chelsea. To take my Chelsea buyers off, I think he could score in both of these games. And then, of course, you have the fixture in game week 15 against Southampton, which is the one people really want to target. You could punt on Calvert-Lewin as well if you have the money. I quite like that. The issue is I'd have to downgrade Mitrovic given the money I have in the bank, unless I take a -4, in which case I could do Zaha down to a cheaper midfield and then do Mitrovic up to the likes of Callum Wilson. That is definitely a possibility. I could go and get Skamaka in here, but the only issue is both him and Antonio were rested in the Europa League, which makes me think I don't actually know which of them's going to start. What I wanted to happen was Skamaka got rested and Antonio started, which nailed Skamaka to be first choice and to start in game week 15. But he's not been clinical that much recently, so there is a reasonable chance that Antonio comes back in. So I do want to sell Mitrovic. That's my number one thing I want to do at the moment. But there's no really forward that I want to go to under the price of Mitrovic, which makes me think, do I need to take a -4 to upgrade Mitrovic and downgrade Zaha in my starting 11? So in terms of predicted transfer, I do think I'm going to sell Wilfried Zaha this week. Although he plays Nottingham Forest next week, I do think selling him this week for a player that has 2 good fixtures is where I'm going to go. I do think I'm going to free up some money as well and bring in Said Benrahma of West Ham, given that he is now rested in their Europa League game for Crystal Palace at home, Leicester at home. The only issue is he plays against Gaeta in goal, and then Danny Ward, who I'll likely start in my team next week, he also starts against him next week, is the only bit of concern. Again, all the yellow flags have been removed. I think Haaland will be fine to start, so I am going to captain him, of course. Wait for the press conference, and we'll see if there's any early team news on my deadline stream on Saturday. This would line me up in a 3-5-2, which does look okay. I do have a few difficult fixtures, particularly in my midfield for Saka, Martinelli, and then Mo Salah as well. Foden is a bit of a nightmare, but I'm basically just have to hold him. I'm not going to use a transfer on him, given that he has Fulham at home, unless we get confirmation from Pep or early team news that he is not going to start. He's my vice captain at the moment, but that could also be on Cancelo if I do end up captaining Erling Haaland. If I don't want to captain Haaland because he's not going to start, I don't have anyone in my team that I'm really confident about. One of the Manchester City guys, if we get news that Foden starts, is probably where it will end up. So Predicting that I'm going to do Wilfried Zaha to Benrahma. This will free up money that I could potentially go and sell Mitrovic to Dominic Calvert-Lewin going into game week 16 as well, and allows me a little bit more flexibility going into the final game week before the World Cup. Let me know what you think, what transfer I should make. I'm pretty set on selling Mitrovic or Zaha this week, if not for a -4. Would you take a -4? And if so, who would you bench? Would you bench Saka? Would you bench Martinelli? Or would you bench someone else like potentially Solanke in there, even though he has a good fixture? Any questions about your team? Drop it in the comment section down below. A reminder, I answer the questions in the comments for the first hour of every single video. So if you want to get your questions answered live, drop them in the comment section and I will do that as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we're aiming for 1,000 likes on the video. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn on notifications to get a reminder for all my videos and for that deadline stream as well. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in game week 15 if I do not see you before then, but I'll be back again very soon.